Welcome everybody to Yapdom Hearts, where I yap with Kingdom Hearts creators about everything Kingdom Hearts. And on today's episode, we have no special guest. It's just me. I I decided that this episode I was going to do something different. I'm going to be just doing this episode by myself. So for this episode, we're going to be doing some tier lists. I have a few pulled up, and I think in total I did about 5. I got one for the worlds, one for the games, one for super bosses, characters, and party members. So we'll see if I get through all of these, depending on how long it takes me. Because I'm not trying to make this 5 hours long, which this could very easily be like a 5 to 10 hour long episode, knowing me. There's no one here to control me, it's just me. This is very dangerous. All right, so we're going to start off with the games. I've technically already did a tier list video. I have it here on this channel for the game specifically. I did that tier list back when I was waiting for Dark Road to drop, so my opinions have changed, I know, especially with Dark Road and like officially getting to experience Dark Road. So I might have things, I don't know, we'll see, because I don't remember the exact area I listed everything. So I guess I'll just go ahead and do this tier list and see if it ends up being anywhere similar to the previous tier list. All right, so the first game we have on here is Days. So Days, what are my opinions on Days? All right, so it's got my favorite character, which is Axel. Honestly, Days, best trio, favorite trio. Would I put that in? I would put that in. I would put that in A, because I think overall Days has a very good story. Uh, it's got good characters. I really like the concept of being a part of the organization. Yeah, I'll put that in A. Uh, all right, so Dream Drop. What are my thoughts on Dream Drop? So I love flow motion. I love the fact that the Hunchback of Notre Dame world was included. Honestly, the world selection in Dream Drop is pretty legit. I would honestly put Dream Drop in A. Uh, okay, so the next one is Chain of Memories. I haven't played OG Chain of Memories, so I'm not actually I should make I'll add a row. And then I'll make this haven't played. Haven't played. Haven't played. I have not gotten around to playing the Game Boy version of Chain of Memories. I have played the PS2 version. I think out of all the games that are on this, I think that's probably the only one I have not played. I think I've played them all. Uh, do, 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 do. Honestly, okay, so here's my thing. I get that the final mix versions are different than the original versions because they offer more content, but I just group it all together as one. So I'm not even gonna bother separating final mix with the other versions. I think for the most part it feels very minuscule. Like it'll be like whatever rating I give the normal version. I don't think that there's any final mix that would really bump it up or down. So I'm just gonna go Birth by Sleep, including final mix. So I guess we'll just do the final mix version. Uh Birth by Sleep. What are my thoughts on Birth by Sleep? I didn't like the mechanics because it's a PSP game, so not really its fault. Uh, it definitely has the best Kingdom Hearts to Disney character interactions. I'll give it that. I'm not, I'm like, I don't dislike the Wayfinder trio, but I definitely wouldn't say they're my one of my favorite trios. There's definitely other trios that I would definitely put above the Wayfinders. But I think I would put Birth by Sleep in B. I think it's a solid B. Uh, there's definitely a lot of fights in there that have given me trauma. Like the Ericus fight's honestly like probably within like my top 10 most trauma filled boss fights in all of Kingdom Hearts. Uh, Coded. Okay, so I haven't played OG Coded, so we'll put that there. Is this Union Cross? Okay, so this one is Dark Road. Okay, I see that. It's kind of hard to tell with the way these icons are. All right, so Dark Road. Speaking of Dark Road, what are my opinions on Dark Road? All right, so terrible gameplay mechanics. Honestly, the worst gameplay mechanics out of every Kingdom Hearts game. Has a phenomenal story. I would put this above Birth. Ironically enough, I'm like, I would put it above Birth by Sleep. But would I really actually? Because now that I think about it, I think that for the negatives Birth by Sleep has, does not outweigh how horrible the combat is in Dark Road. But I wouldn't put it in C. I don't think Dark Road is that bad. I'll put it B. I'll probably put it at like I'll push it down to like the very end, like the lowest B that B could be, because I definitely wouldn't put it in C. I might put it in C. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 1, honestly, very like standard, no real qualms with it. I honestly I don't have any pros or cons when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. It's just very good. It's very standard. It's it's the first game. Where would I rank it though? I'd say I like it more than Birth by Sleep, but definitely not more than Dream Drop. And I feel like Dream Drop just has elements to it that I could honestly justify leaving it in A. But Kingdom Hearts 1, I think, is honestly like top B. I think Dark Road is bottom B. KH1 is top B, for sure. All right, Kingdom Hearts 2. Okay. Kingdom Hearts 2, like, by all means, has to go in S tier. Like, it has some of the most fun gameplay mechanics, some of the most fun worlds to visit. The story, honestly, I wouldn't say is better than Days, but overall, like it's such a fun experience that it very rarely is there a game that comes to that level, especially within the series. There is one other game. I will say there is one other game that I would say tops Kingdom Hearts 2, but we'll get there when we get. Actually, you know what? We're there right now. Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm saying this now, goes over Kingdom Hearts 2. Does just the grand scope, even if you want to nitpick and say certain things like, oh, but Arendelle, I think Kingdom Hearts 3, for the overall story, the resolutions with the characters. So here's my stance when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 3. It is entirely biased. If you've seen the previous episodes of this podcast, and you probably already know this, but Kingdom Hearts 3 came out at a time where I had a group of Kingdom Hearts friends from Union Cross, and we all got to play it together and like experience it together as we were like beating the game, and like person after person was coming in to chat and they were like, oh, I just beat it, and then they would give their opinions and we talk for hours about the game, and then it would restart every time someone else new joined the conversation. um the Remind DLC, which is that its own thing on here? I don't think, no, it's not. The Remind DLC, with the fact that you got to play as all the characters together in that scene where they're like in the air, honestly, that put it over the top for me, because that's what I want more than anything with a Kingdom Hearts game. Is I want a game where I get to play as the collective, like as a group of the characters just hanging out. Like that's the one thing that I had been waiting for a Kingdom Hearts game once we got to this resolution, and we didn't get it in base Kingdom Hearts 3. but we got it in the DLC, so that 100% puts it over there. We got Vanitas. We got Ventus and Roxas interacting with each other, Aqua and Axel, Riku and Terra. It was such like a phenomenal thing for them to include. And then on top of that, you have the data battles. It was just like, honestly, and you think back to some of the worlds that they did like so well, like Pirates of the Caribbean is such a fantastic world just visually. Are there any worlds? I would say like we got Pixar, we got Toy Story, Monsters Inc. The inclusion of Vanitas in the Monsters Inc. world is phenomenal. I will never not gloat about how amazing of a decision that was to put Vanitas in the Monsters Inc. world. That is honestly such a fantastic concept. So I would put Kingdom Hearts 3 over Kingdom Hearts 2 for all that. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is a phenomenal game. I just don't think that the overall experience would ever beat Kingdom Hearts 3, but it definitely beat out all the other games for sure. I don't know that I would put any other game in S tier going through it. Okay. Chain of Memories. All right, Chain of Memories. So Chain of Memories, fantastic story. Chain of Memories is the same fate as Dark Road. Fantastic story, awful gameplay. But would I say that the story is better than Union Cross's story? So would I put it above Union Cross in B, or would I put it in C? Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. Well, I don't know, because so I definitely have games that I know I would put in a very low category. But okay, would I put those games? I would definitely put those games in D, the ones that I'm thinking of, the ones that I want to put in D. And I feel like I should probably move Dark Road down to C and also put Chain of Memories in C. I think Dark Road for sure has the better story over Chain of Memories, but honestly, I think I'm gonna knock them down because of the gameplay. In all honesty, I don't like the way the game controls in Birth by Sleep, but I would rather play Birth by Sleep any day of the week versus Dark Road or Chain of Memories. That's such a hard decision to make because the Dark Road combat is way worse. I would honestly rather play Chain of Memories. Well, no, let me take that back. So I think that I would rather play Dark Road now that I'm thinking about it, because technically I disliked Dark Road's combat because I can never figure it out. Dark Road is the only Kingdom Hearts game I have not fully played and or beaten. I attempted to play it, could not figure it out. By the way, watch my Dark Road video if you want my full full take on Dark Road. I literally streamed that game for just it was like hours, like probably collectively like a 12-hour stream that I had cut down because I legitimately went to sleep during it because it's a grind fest. It honestly is a grind fest. But if I could figure out how to play Dark Road, I probably would like it more than Chain of Memories. I'm gonna be completely honest. So I'm gonna put both of those in C. All right, so recoded. Recoded is going in D. And the reason it's going in D is because the overall story does not add anything, at least not yet. I have another video on this channel about a theory that I have with Recoded, saying that the whole thing that Mickey's doing post KH3 is looking for is investigating Scarlet Adkylum, which we found out in Melody of Memories, and that I think that he's going to find a copy of the Book of Prophecies. He's going to take it back to the castle. He's going to put it in the little machine that they used in Coded, and he's going to pop into the world like how we saw in Union Cross. And then we're going to find out that the entire gameplay of Union Cross was not like a story events being told from like us peering into the past, but more so Mickey playing the events on his computer in Disney Castle. And I feel like when that, if that becomes canon to the overall lore, then Coded will go up for sure. I would put it probably in like C, maybe. But as of right now, Coded doesn't really add anything beyond introducing the datascape. The story is okay. I don't think it's groundbreaking at all. I definitely think it deserves a D tier, 100%. All right. Was it Union Cross? Yeah, okay. All right, so next is Union Cross. Union Cross, honestly, has the best story out of all the games. Would I put it in S tier though? Hmm. I really gotta think on this one. So the story in Union Cross, phenomenal. The gameplay, I think, was okay. Obviously, like it was a gotcha game, but overall, just to go through the story, it really wasn't too much of a struggle. Granted, I never beat Union Cross because I kind of fell off playing it. So Union Cross and Dark Road are the only two games I never beat because honestly I thought I thought I could just go back and beat Union Cross at some point, but they t- they took that away from me, so I can't go back and replay Union Cross. But overall, I got pretty far though. The only time I ever got stumped was on the Gaston fight. The Gaston fight was pretty tough. Beyond that, would I say I don't know that I would put it in S tier. Would I put it in A tier? Okay, so this is tough. The story is really good. The story is like the best in the entire game, entire franchise. I I'm stumped on this one. I really am because I want to put it up higher, but the more I think about it in comparison to the other games, because I think about it like this: would I rather play Union Cross over Days or Dream Drop? I'm gonna be honest. I would rather I would rather probably play Days or Dream Drop. Uh, I think I would put it in low A. It has a good story, but I don't know. Like, would I want to experience that story again? I definitely would, but the fact that it's spread around like 700 episodes is a bit of a drag, honestly. Yeah, no, I think so. Here's the thing is that I think the elements that make Kingdom Hearts 1, it's like the base level, right? And I wouldn't say Union Cross is below base level. It's definitely above base level. In the grander scope, Union Cross is definitely bigger in presence than these two games are. I wouldn't say it beats out 3 or 2 though. The gameplay aspect really does knock it down. If they remade Union Cross to be like an actual game, like the like Kingdom Hearts 3 and 2 were, it would be honestly probably the best game in the entire franchise. Also, now the more I'm thinking about this, I'm putting Dream Drop over Days because as much as Days or as much as Dream Drop has so many bosses that give me trauma, I would say the experience is definitely greater than Days. But I would definitely say if I had to pick between Days or Union Cross, oh, I think honestly, I would rather. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I might want to play Union Cross over Days. I think Days is a fantastic game, but I think the substance of it, Union Cross just has better substance, but Dream Drop is more fun. Personally, yeah. No, I would do that. I would do that. I'm looking now at Darker and Chain of Memories, and I'm like, do I want do I want to change those? I think those are fine for right now. I'll leave it as it is. All right, with back cover. Okay, so the back cover, honestly, I don't feel like it moves the story all too much. So when the back cover came out, I thought it was going to be like a replacement for Union Cross and just retell the events, but it definitely doesn't do that. It gives us the perspective of the foretellers, obviously gives us a better introduction to who they are as characters, and we get the Master of Masters, who's top 3 favorite character for me. Honestly, I would say he's like my second favorite character. Axel, Master of Masters, Strelitzia. Those are my top 3 favorite Kingdom Hearts characters. But back cover, it's just it's just there. Like, it doesn't really move the story, it more enhances it. Definitely did us a better job than Recoded. But would I put back cover over Chain of Memories or Dark Road? It's weird to judge it because it's not a game, it's a movie. But overall, the experience, the story, I guess there's not really an experience. I guess you could experience a movie. It has an experience aspect to it. I don't know that I would put it over Chain of Memories. I think it beats Recoded. I, I think if it wasn't just relegated to like the foreteller's backstory, and there was more to it that we went into with like how these events, maybe more about the Master of Masters, if we got more about his like backstory or more about like the true darknesses, we if we had a little bit more content in that movie, it would definitely beat out both Dark Road and Chain of Memories. But for what we got, I think that there is just enough to where I wouldn't warrant it to go over, because like in comparison to the stories of both Dark Road and Chain of Memories, it would be doing them both a disservice to rank them to rank back cover higher. So I think as of now, well, back cover is never gonna really. I guess it could depend on how the story elements change in a future title. As of right now, I'm gonna put it in high D for sure. All right, moving on from back cover. Melody of Memory. Melody of Memory. I have some thoughts about Melody of Memory. Okay. Recoded does not move the needle at all. But Recoded told a story. Recoded told a story. Melody of Memories does not tell a story. Melody of Memories nudges, barely even nudges the needle forward. Because the only new information we found out about Melody of Memories was in the very end of the game. We know that Sora is in a world of unreality. The name of the world that Sora is in, which is Quadratum, and that the star has connection. The nameless star has connections to Quadratum, which is all stuff that's probably going to be. It's all probably going to be repeated within the first like 5 minutes of Kingdom Hearts 4. The concept of it being a rhythm game is fun, except for the fact that there is no couch versus mode. There's only couch co-op, and versus mode is exclusive to online, which is super silly. I don't know why they decided to do it like that. Like, I don't know why, if you're going to have a versus mode, you wouldn't have a couch co-op offline mode and only exclusively online um, co-op or versus, not co-op. I, maybe if we had DLC, I could consider it being higher, because it was kind of like they just dropped it on us. It felt like, in a way, it should have just been an add-on. Like, if this was an add-on to Kingdom Hearts 3, this would have been fantastic. This would have made Kingdom Hearts 3 even better than what it was. The $60 for this game was definitely not worth it. Was the first time, and I've played a fragmentary passage. I paid full price for fragmentary for 2.8 and did not have any qualms. The fact that I got a tech demo, a game that I had already played, and a short film, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. The amount of money I paid for that, $50, 60, however much it was at the time, I had no qualms. I bought Melody of Memories, and I was like, damn, this is the first time I've played a Kingdom Hearts game, and honestly felt like I got scammed out of my money. Especially since it doesn't cover the events of Union Cross, which I guess at that point, was Union Cross, where was Union Cross? Union Cross was definitely finished for sure. Dark Road wasn't finished. Dark Road was like in that weird hiatus where the first half of the game came out, but the last half didn't. So it would have made sense. Okay, so I guess it wouldn't make sense to include Dark Road, but they could have for sure done Union Cross. Okay. What they could have honestly taken a page out from the Recoded book is that they should have done dream versions of the characters that they interact with. That way, it makes a lot more sense for those memories to be connected to the dream versions of the other characters who are retelling Kairi about those events, versus Kairi retelling events of things that did not happen to her but that she heard about from other people, which is like, what, it's just very like, it very much gives the, we made a rhythm game with no intent to have an actual story, but decided to incorporate Kairi in this for some reason, because they wanted to do the whole thing at the end where Xehanort reveals to her about where Sora is. But it's like, if you're gonna involve Kairi, just one, she wasn't even really like a big playing factor throughout the games, because when you're playing the songs, you don't even get to play as Kairi. She's not a part of any of the groups. Which, honestly, why couldn't we just have like interchangeable groups? Like, why wasn't there an option for Sora, Riku, and Kairi? And then, obviously we could have Sora, Donald, and Goofy. I guess we couldn't really do Mickey, Donald, and Goofy because Mickey was set as like an item. Although it was pretty silly that, like, it made sense for Mickey to be involved in all of the groups, but then he was involved in the Days group, but it has no connection to like any of those characters whatsoever. So it would have just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's probably just overthinking it. Mickey is just there as, as he is in Kingdom Hearts 2. He's just a backup. Oh, also, for a game about memories, Naminé was nowhere to be found. Instead, we had Ansem the Wise, Yenzo, and Evan. Like, okay, so clearly Naminé is around. Why isn't Naminé doing stuff? I know that she has connections to Sora's memories. That's like her whole shtick. But I'm sure that they could expand on it and be like, oh, well, Naminé actually has found out that she can control other people's memories that are closely connected to Sora, considering the fact that Naminé is part Sora and part Kairi. So I would imagine that her power should extend to Kairi. We know that she can alter Riku's memories, or attempted to at least. She never did, but she said that she could. Not his memories, but his darkest. She had the ability to do things to other people that weren't Sora, is what I'm getting at. So she should have been present. I don't know why she wasn't. But yeah, that's my whole rant with Melody and Memories. I think this game this game was a fucking mistake. Honestly. I'm giving it its own category. Melody of Dumb. Melody of. Oh no, I changed it. Right, that's. Melody of Dumb. That's Melody of Memories goes under. Because honestly, I wouldn't even put it over Recoded. I think Recoded has more heart and more presence than Melody of Memories ever could. Unless they like drop DLC and they revamp the story or something. I don't know what you could do to fix Melody of Memories. Well, I know what you could do to fix Melody of Memories. They're not going to fix it. There's nothing they could do actively that they intend to do. Like that game is just there, and that game is just it's just an unfortunate entry to the series. All right, so a fragmentary passage. A fragmentary passage, for as short of a game as it was, and it wasn't even technically a game, it was a tech demo for Kingdom Hearts 3 before they changed everything and then ended up not using the same system that they used for this one. Would I put it over? I would definitely put it over Kingdom Hearts 1 for sure. I think the overall experience is higher than the baseline. I don't know that I would put it over Days though. I think it's a solid has a solid spot under Days because Days' story and overall experience, I would say, though the gameplay in a fragmentary passage was more fun than it was in Days, but I can't really fault Days because Days was on a DS. So it's kind of the same thing with Birth by Sleep being on PSP. Uh, I I think Days overall has just a bigger presence when it comes to this story. I don't think I could feasibly say the story is less than what was available in a fragmentary passage. I think a fragmentary passage is good. The opening is a banger, which is funny because I did not like the opening when I first heard it, but it has grown on me. Uh, no, I think I'm pretty set. I think it's gonna go below Days and above KH1. And I think okay, so all that's left is just the base forms of the ones that I've already ranked. Okay, am I gonna move anything around? S tier is fine the way it is. A tier, I've already deliberated on it enough. I feel like A tier. Oh, no, I think A tier is fine. A tier is fine the way it is. I think Dream Drop, Union Cross, Days, and Fragmentary Passage deserve A. Not Melody and Memories. KH1 and Birth by Sleep definitely deserve B. I would say, mm, okay. But actually, I should probably put Birth by Sleep over KH1. No. I I don't know. I would not say that I would put my experience of KH1 over or under Birth by Sleep. I would any given day prefer to play KH1 over Birth by Sleep. I think the story. Could I say the story is better in KH1 over Birth by Sleep? No, I can't say that. But I personally, I personally would not feel right putting Birth by Sleep over KH1. It is a contender. I honestly, if it were up to me, and it is up to me, this is my podcast. I can do whatever I want. I would tie them together. I say they're equal. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. I'd say they are equal. I can't really do anything with this tier list to make it that so, but verbally, I'm telling you, I would say I would put them equal. One is not better than the other. They are the same in my book. Dark Road, I almost feel the same way with Dark Road and Chain of Memories. I would say they're honestly no, no. The story in Dark Road is definitely better than the story in Chain of Memories, but just by a small margin, very very minimal, because they're both very good. Um, but I would still put Dark Road over Chain of Memories, just slightly over it. And then we have Back Cover and Recoded. Honestly, I don't really know what else more to say on those two. They don't do much to the overall story, but I mean, obviously they are important. Better than this game, better than Melody of Dumb. But yeah, I don't know that I would ever play the original Chain of Memories or Coded. I feel like I should, but honestly, at this point, I have really no desire. If this was like a base form of one of these games in S or A, I would be like, oh yeah, I for sure have to try them out. Even if it's like a lackluster version of it, I would definitely give them a shot. Not so much for a game that I would rank in D or what did I put C or D tier. Like the lower tiers, I'm least interested. Now, if we got a version of Chain of Memories that didn't have the cards, I, I would put that so much higher. Honestly, if they revamp the combat, they don't even have to revamp the combat in Coded. Coded, the combat's fine. In Chain of Memories, Dark Road, if we got to play, oh my god, if we got to play back cover, I would, I, I don't even know how, I don't even know how I would, but I feel about that, where I would put it. To get to play as the foreteller should be so cool. I'm like visually just imagining getting to play like a 5 player, almost like a Birth by Sleep, but instead of 3 characters, it's 5 characters, or I guess maybe 6. I would honestly put that over Dream Drop. I would say that would be like an A tier game. Just the fact of getting to know more about the foretellers and getting to actually play and like see their combat. I that's an A tier game. Hypothetically A tier game. All right, I think I've spent enough time on this one. So this is my final tier list. We'll see. I'll put up the old tier list in comparison. Okay, so super bosses. So most of these, okay. So the only ones I haven't fought is Armor of Ericus and No Heart, because there's a bunch of just BS you have to do to get to them, and I'm just not a fan of mini games. I want to fight. I wish there was a way to fight these guys without having to do a bunch of weird mini games. Maybe one day I'll eventually get to fighting them, but as of right now, those are the only two I have not fought against. So we'll get those out of the way. Uh, okay. So Data Battle, KH2, Syax. Syax has always been, I would say, pretty notably tough to fight against, even before just base KH2. But from what I I know with some of these bosses, he doesn't hold a candle to a lot of them. I would put him in C tier, maybe B tier. We'll have to see where I feel on most of these other characters. Um, Zigbar KH2, I would say same. I would put him in C tier because they, no, no. I'm putting Psyx in B. I'm leaving Zigbar in C. Luxord. I'm sorry, Luke Short. Luke Short definitely has more memories of trauma with Psyx. I would say would he no, I would put Luke Short under Psyx. He definitely had a presence and staying power with his fight, for sure. More than Zigbar, I would say. Okay, Vexen. I'm thinking back to Chain of Memories and how much I despised his fight as well as Larkseid's fight. But we're going off his data battle, which I honestly remember being stumped on it, but I think it was just because it had a really dumb mechanic I couldn't figure out in that moment. But once I looked it up, I was able to like beat him no problem. Um, I would put him above Zigbar. I'm not gonna put him in B. I think overall there's no real presence with him. It was just a dumb gimmick, and like these ones are like has a challenge, has a fun, interesting gimmick. His is a dumb gimmick. I would not put it in the same tier as like these guys, honestly. But definitely more of a notable fight than Zigbar. I honestly can't even remember the KH2 Zigbar fight. I'm trying to. The only thing I can think of is KH3 data battle, but I honestly he has no. I that fight has no memory in my mind. I've beaten him. I just it's just he was just there. I don't think I had that much difficulty. I think he was okay. Okay, so KH2 Sephiroth, honestly not as hard as KH1 Sephiroth. Is KH1 Sephiroth on this list? Okay, he is. All right. I I think KH2 Sephiroth is obviously more difficult than Syax. I would put him in A, but I would definitely put would I put KH1 Sephiroth in S tier? I don't think I would actually. He is definitely harder. I would say these are he's definitely okay. This is definitely going to be a high A to a low A because I wouldn't say I would put Sephiroth in the same tier as Syax and Luke Short. Again, we'll see as we go along. All right, so Lingering Will definitely S tier. No, no shot does he get anything other than S tier. That was a phenomenal fight, and it left me feeling so proud of myself after I finally beat him. Lingering Will, we'll have to see. I think I remember putting him in my top 5 of the hardest boss fights for sure. Julius. Julius is in that same realm, like with Vexen, where it has such a dumb mechanic. It has such a a dumb mechanic of him being overpowered and fast. Which is that a mechanic? I probably not. He's a lot more difficult than he should be, but he definitely gave me a lot of trauma until I found out the gimmick, which is Balloonra. I don't know. I think overall, I think he's such a low quality super boss, but he's definitely not one you can just like he instills trauma. So you have to put him up pretty high for instilling trauma. I would put him in A. Yeah. I would say the quality of his fight does not beat KH1 Sephiroth, but it definitely is more memorable than KH2 Sephiroth for sure. And I think that's only because KH1 is so limited in scope in comparison to KH2. So I would say that it's kind of the same with a fragmentary passage for Zodiac Phantom Aqua. Is that this boss fight is not as hard as it should be, but is only hard because of how limited you are. Which, by the way, since we're already talking about it, I'm putting this in S tier. This is one of the only two bosses I have not yet beat. The other one, we'll get to it. I obviously okay. Hold on. Anybody who knows anything about super bosses knows who it's gonna be. It's Yuzora. I'm just gonna say it right here, right now. Yuzora definitely takes the cake as the number one most difficult, most insane super boss. Like no shot. There's no way. There's no way. I'm also gonna, you know what? I'm gonna put, I'm gonna put all my top cards here. Well, okay, no. I already jumped the gun. I have another one that I also have an opinion on. I'm gonna wait until we get to that before I just start chucking everything in S tier. Uh, all right, so Kurt Ziza. Kurt Ziza is definitely in the same category as Zigbar. I have no recollection of that fight at all. Honestly, would I move Zigbar? I'd probably move Zigbar to D and put Kurt Ziza in C and D as well. I would put Kurt Ziza over Zigbar for just design alone. I feel like I can like 1% remember the Kurt Ziza fight. I 0% remember the Zigbar fight. Yeah, no, I stick by that. I think C is gonna go to dumb mechanics that were challenging, but I just don't have any like. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing there. There's nothing. It's just like there's no trauma. There's nothing that sticks. Uh, all right. What is this? Oh, this is Zemnis from KH1. Zemnis from KH1. Definitely memorable for sure. It definitely falls in the same ballpark as being a lot harder than it actually was because KH1. I would put him over Sayax, but not over Sephiroth. I think that is a fair. I think he's very challenging, but I would wager to say that the KH2 Sephiroth fight is definitely more. I don't know, actually. I think definitely the quality of the fight beats out him. Yeah. I would say he either goes low A or top B, but no, I'll put him top B. Top B. All right, Demix. So Demix in his water clones, it definitely would definitely below Sephiroth. No, I would say they're pretty comparable. Well, Demix has just a weird gimmick. Demix is timed. The time thing is what really gets you. So I would say Sephiroth. I would say the time gimmick does not put it over Sephiroth. Sephiroth being just a full fledged like fight definitely has more um, credibility than the Demix fight. I would say the Demix fight has more memorable memories. It's more memorable, I would say, over Zemnis. Would I put it in A or would I put it as a low B? I no, I think I put it as a high B. I think over Zemnis. I'm starting to feel like I gotta move KH2 Sephiroth to high B as well. Because I don't, I almost don't even feel like it's comparable to these two at this point. We'll see. We'll move along. And then I'll decide as I go. Phantom. Phantom, definitely memorable. I would say it falls in the same gimmick category as Luke Short, but not as annoying and lackluster as Vexen. But then, no, I would say the fight in general was a pretty cool fight. I would put it over Luke Short, but not over Syx for sure. Yeah, no, I'm pretty content with that. Mysterious figure, young Xehanort, definitely S tier. He is in the top three. So I have not beat Yozora or Zodiac Phantom Aqua. I've gotten very extremely close to beating Zodiac Phantom Aqua. I have not even on proud mode stand a chance against Yozora. I have actually beat Mysterious Figure. And that took me multiple days, and I don't think my thumbs have ever fully recovered from that fight. And I had only beaten him with Aqua. I wasn't even going to try with Ventus, especially never ever going to try that with Terra. Uh, I would say the payoff was way bigger than with Lingering Will, but definitely, like, I definitely walked away from Mysterious Figure with just like, oh, I was so excited to beat it. Just that's how frustrated it made me. I was like, I was so determined to beat him. And I did. And I was like, oh, Jiminy Cricket, that was a fight. That was a fight that's forever ingrained in my memories, for sure. Forever and always. Vanitas Remnant, another one where you just gimmick with the mines. I don't feel like he really had that much presence. I would put him, I would honestly put him as C. He's so, it feels so forgettable, honestly. I feel like he doesn't really have a dumb gimmick like Vexen does. He's just sort of there. He's a tough fight. He's in the same ballpark as Julius, but Julius just has more of a more trauma. Vanitas Remnant definitely did not give me any trauma. I honestly don't know what my opinion is on this. I wouldn't put him in the same category as Kurtziza or Zigbar. I'm pretty okay. I'll put him in C. I'll leave him as C. KH3 Vanitas? Honestly, okay, so I played KH3 when there was only Proud mode. So I've only done the data battles on Proud. And those were just like so many of them were so easy to the point where I honestly would put most of them in the E category. No, no, E, I don't know if any, actually, now I think about it, I don't know if any of them would be in E. Because E is just like terrible. And I don't think any of these were terrible. But a lot of them were super easy. Like, I remember the Marluxia fight, the Larxene fight were incredibly easy. You see, I actually have. We pull up a conversation I was having with my Union Cross friends. because I was talking to them as I was going through it. Okay, so from this conversation, I had spent 2 hours trying to fight Ansem and struggled. I think in total, from this conversation, it took me about like 4 to 5 hours to beat Ansem. I definitely remember Ansem being tricky. Ansem's memory, the memory of the Ansem fight has more staying power. I would say definitely, well, no, I would not put it in B. I would put it in A. Honestly, I would say KH3 Ansem is over. It's definitely a better quality fight than the Julius fight. Honestly, I would put it as a high A because that fight was pretty damn cool. Not lingering will level. Mm, would I put it over KH1? I think so. I think like visually and just mechanically, it's far superior than KH1 Sephiroth. Not Yeah, no, I would say difficulty wise is up there too. I would just say it's a better quality difficulty. Okay, so going off the conversation that I was having, uh, Ansem, or not Ansem, Zemnis was the second one, and Zemnis was way worse. I do. I'm trying to remember. I feel like the Zemnis fight. I honestly don't remember. I remember the Ansem fight. I don't remember the Zemnis fight, but it seemed like I was having more, which is funny from my reaction saying that Zemnis is worse than Ansem. Uh, God, maybe I should look up a video and see if that'll jog my memory. Oh, how ironic. Look at the video that's here recommended right now. I don't know if this video is going to do it any justice for the sheer fact that it's a no damage run. I guess mechanically, I'm trying to see if there's anything that stood out. Because Ansem had that weird gravity thing. I remember, and like all the dark balls. What does Zemnis have? Maybe it's okay. So I'm seeing right now that the Zemnis thing looks like it's more of a timing situation, and I'm so bad at timing. So it probably was only difficult because of how I play the game. But then again, this person's making this look so much easier than it probably was. Let's see. Let's get to when he starts doing like the big attacks. Okay, so it looks like it was a lot of timing. I understand now why I struggled as much as I did. All right. So it definitely is going to get marked down for not having any memorable staying power for sure. Which is unfortunate because I wish I could remember why. No, I wish I could remember that feeling of going against Zemnis, but I have like no recollection of it. But for a boss fight to be, for me to feel that difficult, especially since there are a lot of boss fights where timing is of the crucial essence, like Zodiac Phantom. Honestly, everybody in S tier. S tier is all about timing. Um, where would I put Xemnas though? I don't know. I almost kind of want to put Xemnas in B tier because it's like, oh god, this is a tricky one. Maybe I'll put Xemnas in its own category. It's such a weird because like obviously I'm not ranking this properly because this is a difficult fight that I have no recollection of, but it's not in the same aspect of Kurtzisa or Zigbar because those are no recollections because they're very like standard, very base. But this Xemnas fight definitely, from what I'm seeing of my prior conversation, was a challenging fight, but I don't remember it. I'm going to put him. I will. I will. I saw. Here's the thing. Here's the thing: is that I do plan to replay KH3 on crit. I will have to 100% revisit this list. I will make Xemnas his own category for now. I definitely, especially since all of these opinions on KH3 super bosses are on proud and not crit. I'm sure my stance will completely change when I do crit. I will definitely revisit this. I probably shouldn't even do this honestly, but I'm already in it right now. But we'll definitely have to come back and revisit it. All right, so Zigbar was the third KH3 data battle that he did, and I had no thoughts on it. Same thing with Luke Sword. I had no thoughts. I did say Larxene was easy, and Marluxia was the easiest one. And Sayax, I said, damn, I'm just breezing right through these now. Okay, so I would say I probably put Sayax in there. I didn't say anything about Sayax being easier than Marluxia. So I would probably do that. Then I said, welp, never mind. Terranort. Terranort is whooping my ass. I said I got super close to beating Terranort and fucking got too nervous and went too risky and died when he had a bar left. And then I finally beat him. Okay, so definitely sounded like Terranort was more of a struggle. Again, Terranort is going in that. It's feeling like it's going in that same category as Xemnas. If I could remember the fight, I could place this evenly. Or I could have this a better placement for this. I'm putting him in the Xemnas category. I really should not be doing this tier list. Okay, so Dark Riku said easy number 9. So here's the thing is that like these ones in the E category, I don't remember either, but I do remember them not being difficult. So for super bosses, they didn't really deserve the title of super boss, I would say, in comparison to some of these other ones. Like, I don't remember the Zigbar fight, but I definitely remember struggling, at least like in the sense of it being a fight. It wasn't like a walk in the park like these ones were. for Vanitas, I said this fucking kid would not stop moving. My God, I had him so close to death so many times, and he keeps zip zooming away. Okay, but I do remember Vanitas being very annoying to go against. I would probably put him in C. I would say he definitely was annoying, like Vexen, but Vexen was just more annoying because of the weird mechanic. Luxord had a interesting mechanic. It's in the middle ground of like interesting, memorable, annoying, and forgettable. Yeah, I say that's about right. I feel confident with that. Wait. Oh, young Xehanort, I said was the easiest of the Norts so far. Again, no recollection of this one. Probably just throw him in E. Yeah, I'll do that. I said, "Oh my god, I thought Vanitas wouldn't stand still. Shion is Shion is fucking way all over Shion is fucking way all over the place. Holy shit, Shion is an absolute unit. This girl's got some fucking power, the armor, the maximum health decrease. Damn, Nomura really went all out on her. Was a great fight. And I honestly, I still stand by that. I remember that Shion fight. And see, that's the thing with a lot of these data battles, is that I remember the Ansem fight and the Vanitas fight and the Shion fight. So there's definitely ones that had staying power mentally. Shion, I it was such a blast to go against Shion. I would honestly, I'm putting Shion in S rank. Shion does not beat Lingering Will, but for quality of fight, definitely I would put it over these guys in A tier. Oh wait, I forgot to put Zigbar in a spot. I didn't think I had an opinion on Zigbar. I do kind of remember the Zigbar fight because the stage changes, but I don't remember it being like anything too difficult. I honestly would probably put the Cage 3 Zigbar in the same category as Cage 2 Zigbar because it's like I remember it more than I do these guys. But I definitely I I know they weren't difficult. They just have really no presence mentally. But I know they weren't easy, and I know they weren't difficult. It seems kind of unfair. Again, this is really something I need to come back to and redo. So this is going to be a very like lackluster, half-assed list. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm trying my best right now. If it wasn't for the fact that I had this conversation that I can look back on and reference, I would honestly have put everybody in E with the exception of Shion, Ansem, and Vanitas. So I didn't even say anything with Xehanort. I just went straight to the credits and just said beat them all. And now just for one last fight, which obviously was Yozora, which I already established Yozora at number one. Um oh, I did talk about Luke Short. What was my stance on Luke Short? I didn't say anything. So same ballpark as Zigbar. Though the Luke Short fight, I do remember having like that really interesting, like they changed up the mechanics and there was like that big like wall of cards. It was interesting for sure. Uh Visually, I think it was visually interesting. I would say I liked it more than the Vanitas fight, but I don't know that I would. The fuck was that noise? Was that you? What? All right. I don't know where I'm gonna put Xehanort. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember anything about his fight. I remember he had the same mechanic as Yuzora and Shion, where they took away your health the more you fought them. Uh, bu- 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 I think honestly it was pretty similar to the just base cage 3 Zem or not Zemna Xehanort fight. Where would I put it? Um, Visually more than Demix, higher than Demix for sure. I I'm gonna have I'll give him A. I'll give him low A. I wouldn't put him over any of these guys, but definitely under Sephiroth. Again, take the KH3 ratings with a grain of salt. KH2, okay, so now we're going back to the data battles of KH2. So KH2 Larxene, do I have an opinion on that one? I don't. It was more preferable than the Chain of Memories fight. I think Larxene goes in the same category as Zigbar. Uh, I'm putting it higher than Zigbar because of the fact that it's not Chain of Memories, and I liked it more because it was not the Chain of Memories fight. But visually, I think Kurtzisa beats out any organization member in this category for sure. I don't even remember the name of this one. Dark Inferno. I don't think Dark Inferno is challenging at all. I'm proud. Um, I would honestly just put it in a low D. Would I put it in that low? Because visually, I think. Well, no. I'm recording a podcast. So, Zexion. I remember Zexion being challenging. He had an interesting mechanic or a gimmick, or whichever one is more fitting. I would say I remember him being more difficult and more interesting than Sayax. But I would honestly I would put him next to Demix. I would say they're pretty equivalent to one another. Marluxia and fucking 52 card pickup. Um I would honestly put Marluxia almost feel like I would put it in the same category as Demix. No, Demix is definitely more difficult. I would say Marluxia would go below Zexion. I think these three, in the sense of like their mechanics, are way more interesting than a lot of the other organization members. I don't think that their gimmicks are stupid like Vexen is, and I don't think these two really have much in the way of like uh, uh gimmicks presence. Don't really stick out memory wise. What about these two? He's just tough to fight, and his was just interesting. But he was tough to fight and interesting. and so is he. Yeah, no, I stick with this. KH2 Zemnis. I don't know if I really have much of an opinion on KH2 Zemnis. I would put him. I think he's very standard. He's very base. There's not really much going on there. Uh, I wouldn't put him in D tier. I would put him as a low C. I think honestly, it's one of those fights where it's like the KH1 of boss fights. It's like very standard. It's not. There's no pros, no cons to it. It's like I can't think back to that KH2 fight and think anything highly of it, but nor do I really think anything lowly of it. Um, it definitely is a better fight than Kurt Caesar, but everything above Zemnis, I have more recollection, memories, trauma. Zemnis is just like okay. The Axel fight, okay. Try not to be biased here. So Axel's fight, I wouldn't put it over Demix, Zexian, or Marluxia. I think this falls more of a visually interesting fight. So in the same category, I don't know. I think I think it would fall more in the same category as KH3 Luxord. Luke, oh my, I'm never gonna remember his name. Luke Shord. I would put him over KH3 Luke Short, but I would not put him over KH2 Luke Short. Cats love to be noisy when I'm trying to record. Honestly, I think mechanic wise, visually wise, I think would be KH2 Luxord. Luke Short. Yeah, no, I feel pretty okay with that. Yeah, definitely want to put it over Phantom, but it's definitely better than KH2 Luke Short. KH2 Lexius. KH2 Lexius, KH2 Lexius had such a weird gimmick. It's such a weird gimmick that you had to do something with, and I struggled so hard with it because I couldn't do what the game wanted me to do because I have a very certain play style that I play as. I think I Sonic bladed my way to victory with that one. I think this falls in the same category as Vexen, where it was just not fun in a weird mechanic, but more memorable than Vanitas Remnant. Yeah, because I didn't even have to look up what to do with Lexius. Okay. KH2 Roxas. Honestly, the Roxas fight visually is superior than all the other data battles. Roxas as a fight though wasn't that difficult because you could just use Sonic Blade. Same thing with the Lexius fight. Where would I put Roxas? I think for experience wise, I would put Roxas definitely in A tier. I'll put him between Xehanort and Sephiroth. I personally don't think that Roxas is a difficult fight. Just like with Xion, I don't think Xion is a difficult fight, but visually these are very, very good fights. Overall, like they're very fun fights to take part in. Mm, yeah, I'll go with that. All right. KH2 Zaldin. He was the first data battle I took on. And my God, did I struggle so much, mostly because of the map. The map was the biggest thing with this fight. I would put this over. So I'm not going to put it over Xi'an because Xi'an was fun and it was a good memory. This is a bad this is a bad memory, but still a memory that sticks. But I will put Data Zaldin in S tier for how difficult and how much trauma it gave me. It was not enjoyable. It was not enjoyable at all, but it was definitely very, very difficult. It could be because it was the first of the data battles, so I wasn't as experienced. I think Zemnis was the last one. That's why my opinion is so like bare bones with them because I already fought everyone else before I got to Zemnis. I think it was Zemnis. It was either Zemnis or Zigbar. It was one of these two. Yeah, I just remember like towards the end of the data battles, I was like breezing through them, and I think it's just because I got my ass handed to me from like so many of the other guys that I was just like, yeah, whatever. They're nothing special. All right, so this is my super boss tier list. I will definitely revise this when I beat KH3 on crit, and we'll have to come back and redo this one. We'll do the characters. I want to do the characters next. All right, so what are these? What are these categories? You got favorite, really enjoyable, pretty good, nice but not great. Really did not care about them. Okay, I feel like I could talk a lot about this category. So let's go off down the list. Scold. Um, Not my favorite. I don't know that I would say Scold is really enjoyable because we don't really get to see much of Scold. Uh, I would put Scold as a pretty good character. Shion. Uh Shion I feel like is another character similar to Scold where we need some more. I need some more Shion. I don't feel like I have enough Shion to judge them as a character. Not to the point that I would say I enjoyed, but they weren't terrible. I'd say pretty good. Demix. Demix was really enjoyable. He's a blast every time he comes onto the screen. For sure goes in that category. Ansem, I would say Ansem is an enjoyable character for just the dynamic that he has with Riku. Like that whole saga, I still think back to that scene in KH3 when Riku tells him that he's gonna miss him. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna miss Ansem too. Like he definitely left an impact. He's the longest running villain out of all the games that we've experienced. So yeah, Zemnis, not Zemnis, Ansem. Ansem definitely goes up here. I wouldn't put him over Demix. I just enjoy Demix way more. What about Sheehan and Scold? I would say I would say this little bits of Scold's personality I liked more than Sheehan's. Vanitas, what are my thoughts on Vanitas? I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know if I have any thoughts on Vanitas. I feel like Vanitas suffers a lot in the same category as Scold and Shion of very minimal like screen time. Like Vanitas, he just doesn't really get a lot of time as much as Scold or Shion had. I can't really say I have. I think I would say nice but not great. I would like there to be a little bit more with him as a character. but we very rarely get to see him. And when we do, there's not really much going on with him. He's a very one note character. Luke Short. I think Luke Short is a pretty good character, considering the fact that there's definitely more about him that we don't know. Uh, I would I wouldn't put him comparable to Vanitas. I think he's in the same ballpark as Shion and Scold, where it's like I want to know more about them. I would put him over Scold. Ira, okay, Ira is a little annoying. I'm gonna be honest. He's just too like by the book. Would I say I don't care about Ira? Um, no, because Ira, there's definitely characters who are way worse, and there's a reason to dislike them. I think Ira could be an interesting character. We just don't, again, know much about him. I would put him in the nice, not great. I would say I have more interest in knowing more about him than I would with Vanitas. I don't know if there's really much you could do with Vanitas to give him more of a personality. You never know. Could change. Hayner. I don't. Hayner, Pence, and Olette are such a tricky characters to place because, like, the other characters have potential to grow. I don't know that they would do anything with Hayner, Pence, or Olette. I feel like they might, though, but I don't know. I do think that Hayner was a little obnoxious when he got upset in Roxas and KH2 for hanging out with Cypher and his gang. Uh, I would say nice, but not great. Definitely less interested to know about him over Vanitas. Marluxia, Marluxia, I am very curious about how him and Elrena are going to tackle, or Larxene are going to tackle things post KH3. When I say I enjoyed his, I wouldn't say I enjoyed his character. I'd say he was a pretty good character. And I would say I have more interest in knowing his future versus Luke Short at the current moment. Strelitzia, I already said, one of my favorite characters, top three. Enzo or Zexion. Uh, I would say nice, but not great. They didn't really have much of a presence in general. Again, uh, I guess there is a backstory about when he was a kid that we don't know about because he was just a random child in Birth by Sleep. So I would say I'm more interested in knowing about his backstory than the other three. Nominee, I could say Nominee was an enjoyable character. Because the thing is like we got a pretty good chunk of information with Nominee. Granted, there's still some things that we don't know, like what was Nominee doing before the organization found her. There's a lot of the stuff that she was doing in Days that kind of gets glossed over. It's just kind of like she's just there, but she clearly has opinions and thoughts, which we get to see in Cage 2. I wish that we had seen more of her speak out towards Diz, but granted, it's not in a real position to really do anything like that. When it comes to someone like Diz, there's no way that Nominee could just be like a boss ass bitch and speak her mind, especially since she's not that kind of character to do so. Uh, would I say she was really enjoyable? No, I think she's a pretty good character, but she falls. I would say she goes above Shion, but under Scold. Ansem the Wise, racist. really don't care about racists. He treated Naminé and Roxas so badly. On top of the fact that he put so many people in risk of just, well, I guess technically he didn't, because he did try to stop the research, the one that Terranort was trying to commit to, because he did try to quash it in Cage 2. I just feel like when he was Diz, he just had very little regard to most people. Like there was never a moment when he felt like a good person. He just felt like an angry old man that was just relentlessly bad. I don't I don't care much for him. I would honestly, yeah, he stays there. Brain, Brain, I would honestly say Brain is a really enjoyable character. The thing with Brain though is that I thought he was pretty obnoxious at first because he seemed to be like that like weird like show off nerd type, but like the more you got to know him, the more he grew on you. I would say he's a pretty I would say he's a pretty enjoyable character towards like the end. I also have a theory on him. It's like one of my more popular theories about him and Lushu, if you want to give that one a watch. Ericus, again, old man. I don't care about the old men in Kingdom Hearts. It's really the scene that does it for me. A lot of it is it's basically the scene where he is going to defeat Ventus. So it was understandable why he wanted to put an end to Ventus's life, but I just feel like the way he went about it and the way he addressed both Terra and Ventus the entire time in Birth by Sleep was just so obnoxious. I did not care for it whatsoever. It just felt like somebody who was trying to be so good that he ended up being just an awful person. Kind of the same with Ansem. Ansem was like trying to do good by fixing his mistakes, Ansem the Wise, but he ended up becoming like a really horrible person at the end of it, more so than the villains themselves. Because the villains are always just like, they have their purpose and they're just following their purpose. Where Ansem and like Ericus are more so like, hey, I have a code. I have a moral code and I'm sticking to that moral code. And I'm like, but you don't have to though. And the fact that you choose to do that versus being a decent person says so much about you. And like all the male characters, all the old men characters are all written that way. All the good old men characters on the good side, like the nice ones, are all just abusive. They're racist or abusive. Chirithy. I liked when Chirithy does that whole entrance. Uh, I think Chirithy's a enjoyable character. I like how sassy Chirithy is. I don't think there's much substance there. I don't really know. I would say, yeah, least curious about Chirithy over Brain and the rest of them. In regards to like enjoyability, and then obviously finding out more about them. Like we already know enough about Ansem. Granted, we don't know anything about Demix. Demix is just an enigma, and so is his voice actor, Ryan Donahue. We know nothing about Ryan Donahue. We don't even have a current picture. We only have a picture of when he was a kid. Riku. Actually, I've deliberated where I put Riku in like my top, like when it comes to favorite characters. I would honestly put Riku in like in the top 5. He would go probably number 5. I think Riku is a pretty good character overall. I think his entire story is well formulated from like where he starts off in KH1 to where he gets to in KH3. I would say he's a pretty good character. I put him up there. Zaldin. So Zaldin was pretty interesting in KH2 and Days. They gave him a personality and then they took that away from him. Uh it's so hard to really know where to place Zaldin. I would like to put Zaldin up higher, but Dylan brings him down noticeably. I would put him in the pretty good character, but I'm putting him at the very end. Yeah, I'll do that. Larxene. I don't like Larxene. I only like Larxene mostly because of her fight in Chain of Memories. Her personality is obnoxious, but I am curious to see how she got to that point because Elrena was nothing like her, or nothing like how she is now. I honestly don't care about Larxene, but I care more about Larxene than I do Ansem the Wise or Ericus. I can't honestly put nice but not great. I don't feel that way about Larxene. I honestly am very like indifferent. Aced. I like Aced a lot. I think Aced is a great character. He is very passionate. He cares a lot for the other foretellers. I think he honestly, I'd say he cares more for the other foretellers than the other foretellers do. I think the other foretellers are very selfish or they're very obnoxious. Aced, you could tell he was trying to put things together and make things work. He was genuinely trying to figure out who the traitor was, and everybody just accused him of being the traitor, which is such like an unfortunate situation for him to be in. I would say Aced is one of my favorite characters. I think he would be number 4 in my overall characters. Well, I guess I could put I already said Axel was my favorite. I could just put him up there. It's just everything about Axel, even the fact of like just the his line in Birth by Sleep lives rent free. It's like the one line I live by. The whole thing about living forever in people's memories. That is such a good line. On top of how much of an extent he went for Roxas and Shion to bring him back and also support them throughout days. He gave Naminé a chance to just be free and, allow her to escape Marluxia and Larxene in Chain of Memories. The scene in Dream Drop where he summons the Keyblade was such a fantastic scene. Everything about Axel is such a just a fantastic character overall. And then I said my second favorite. Actually, I don't know if I said I said my second favorite. The Master of Masters is my second favorite. Just the personality, the mysteriousness about him. Like I want to know so much more. I want to know so much more. Did I explain why I put Streletsy? I just said Streletsy was one of my favorites. I didn't really explain, but I really like the way Strelitzia wants to get to know the player, is considerate about the player, goes out of their way to make sure that the player is safe. And there's something about that like someone who puts other people ahead of themselves, I have such like respect for. There's something, and on top of that, Strelitzia has like an amazing design. I really like the way she looks visually. Yeah, overall, I think her personality, which is interesting for a game where she is not the main focus, she had very little focus, but shined so brightly when she had her moments. And I am so excited to see how she's going to be implemented in future titles. Like the fact she showed up in the KH4 trailer, it got me so stoked. I'm so happy. I am over the moon that we get to see Strelitzia again. Uh, okay. So I already said my stance on Strelitzia and being selfless. Sora is a very selfless person. But I can't say that there's ever been a moment where I've ever really thought about Sora in the aspect of an interesting character. I think he's been very okay. I don't have much of an opinion on him. I don't dislike Sora though, but when I see Sora, I don't instantly think of a really enjoyable character. I think of a pretty good character. I don't know what it is about Sora. I don't have an opinion on him. I wish I did. Like I think the moment in KH1 where he sacrifices himself for Kyrie is an amazing moment. I don't know. There's just something about I just don't. I guess I've never really given him a lot of thought. I think I would put him over Marluxia. I think Sora is one of those characters that is very. It's very bare bones. Like there's not much because it's kind of weird. There's some like his connection with Kyrie. We don't really have much information on. He just likes Kyrie, but we don't know why he likes Kyrie or what brought him to that. It was just more so that like you know they were just paired together, and I want to know if there's like more of a story on that. I want to know so much more about Sora. I think he falls in the same ballpark as Marluxia and Luke Short, where they have more to tell, and I'm curious to see where the story takes all three of them. So Gullah, I was I was a part of the Leopardus union, so he is my union leader. Personality wise, I think he's nice but not great. I don't feel like there's much we know about him, and the little we did, it wasn't really anything crazy. I would put him. I would say I'm more interested to know about him than the other guys. I'll put him there. Is Kyrie? Where would I put Kyrie? I would say Kyrie falls under the pretty good characters. I just don't really have an opinion on Kyrie. It's the same thing with Sora. And again, when we see Kyrie, there's not really much there that we know. But there definitely could be more that they could build on to Kyrie. I am more interested to know about Kyrie than I would say Shion for sure. I think there's more about Naminé and Scold that I'm curious more about. Shion and Kyrie, it's like there could be more. I don't know. I think that's I'm pretty confident with that spot. Lexius, I don't have an opinion at all on Lexius. Mm, I feel like Lexius could be a pretty good character. We just don't know anything about them. I would put them in the nice but not great. I'm more curious to know about his backstory than I am with Zexian Enzo, just to see where he came from and what led him to be a guard of Ansem the Wise. Not Zigbar, Zaldin gets higher because of just the personality that he's shown. I'd say he was like a pretty good character, even though he was like a bad character. There was still more of like we got to see the inner workings of his mind versus Lexius we didn't really get to see much of, but would like to see more. Terra. Terra, Terra, Terra. Where do I put Terra? So I don't think that Terra is really an enjoyable character. Uh but also at the same time, I don't think that Terra is a terrible character. It's a very weird position for Terra because I feel like honestly, like, I'm not a Terra hater. I would say he's a pretty good character, but he definitely falls on the very end of the spectrum. I just don't really have much of an opinion on him. I feel like he could grow to like the Riku levels. We just haven't had much time to really experience it. Honestly, I would say I'm more curious about Terra's future and his past than I am with most of the characters on here. I will put him there. I'm more interested to know more about him, especially with like how he's gonna approach the future. I'm pretty curious about, but I think he's a pretty good character overall. He's not bad, not good. No pros, no cons. Ventus. Ventus, I am really curious about. Would I say he's enjoyable? I don't think I would ever say Ventus was enjoyable to me personally. I think he was a pretty good character. I'm very curious to know more about him. I would put him right here. He's the one I'm probably the most curious about because I have a stance that he's like some sort of god of the light, but personality wise, he's just kind of like middle of the road. Mr. Luxu Zigbar Braggy. Definitely a very enjoyable character. Would I say he's my favorite? I can't say I ever would looked at Zigbar or any of the versions of Lushu and say that any of them were my favorites. I think Zigbar is definitely enjoyable. I would say he's not as enjoyable as Demix, but he is very enjoyable. I'd say these two are very on par with one another. Yeah, I'm pretty confident with putting him there. Zemnis. I think Zemnis is a very interesting character. His presence is very he has such a strong presence. He's got a pretty cool like move set, especially with the whole laser dome. Would I say he was enjoyable? I think so. I think everything about Zemnis is such like a it's such a actually I don't even know if I would say it's enjoyable more than it's impressive. I just don't feel like a pretty good character fits Zemnis. I think Zemnis is more enjoyable, fits in the enjoyable category. I would put him. I would put him next to Ansem. I think both of them are pretty good. Envy falls in the same category as Ira and Gula. Well, actually, I don't even know. Well, no, because I definitely don't have an opinion on Envy to the same level as the really don't care about them people. I think nice but not great, but very at the end. I have no opinions on Envy whatsoever. As at least with Ira, it's like I'm kind of interested on like what makes him leader material, and Gola just seems has to have like a lot of personality. Envy is too much of a strickler for the rules. It's like I feel like once we find more information about Envy, I don't know if I would be too interested. I feel like Ira is also a stickler for the rules, but he has flaws, and his flaws are what make him interesting. I don't think Envy has flaws, and that's what makes me least interested in knowing about them as a character. Ava. Uh I think Ava is another one where is another stickler for the rules. I'm curious though because I feel like Ava could be the one character that could like the the super dedicated that ends up going rogue. I could definitely see that with Ava for sure. I would probably put Ava next to Gula. I would say I'm more interested in in Ava than Gula, but overall Ava's nice but not great. It's very like subpar group of people for sure, personality wise. But I would be somewhat very minuscule amount of curious for any future events with these guys. Olette, definitely nice but not great. Don't really have an opinion on Olette, but definitely put Olette over Hainer. I would be more curious to know, like, there's such a big gap between Vanitas and Olette, but definitely if I had to pick between, well, if I had to pick between Hainer, Pence, and Olette, I'm more curious about Pence because Pence, no, hold on, Pence is more enjoyable, I would say. So here's the thing. I think Olette is a very nice character, but there's just no substance there. But Pence has substance. There's just something about Pence that oozes personality, and I'm here for it. I would say I would honestly put Pence as an enjoyable character. I'm putting him under Chirithy. There's just something like there's something about Pence that I just I connect with more than I do with Olette and Hainer. But I definitely would like to put Olette higher, but feasibly I cannot. I hope we get to know more about their past for sure. But in the current state of where that character is, I have to leave Olette where Olette is. Pence, I feel like Pence is already doing way more than either Hainer or Olette have. Especially, I really like the scene where he's hanging out with Roxas and they're exploring the wonders. Like, I really like that scene and that, like, that time you got to spend with him. I don't know, there's something special. I like that. I like that moment. Roxas. I've had a lot of shifting opinions on Roxas. I used to not care much for Roxas. I think he was very overrated. But now I have more respect for Roxas and more of an understanding of Roxas and his character. I wouldn't say he's one of my favorites though. Would I say he's enjoyable? Honestly, I would probably say Roxas. I feel like Roxas could be a very enjoyable character. There's just not enough. I mean, I can't really say that because there's plenty of information on Roxas. I just don't, when I look at Roxas, I don't think of an enjoyable character. I feel like he's in the same category as Ventus and Sora. They're like pretty good characters that we could learn more about down the road. Would I be more curious to know about Roxas, Ventus, or Sora more? Definitely Ventus for sure is more interesting. Um, I feel like there's a lot we already know about Roxas. I don't know if we're gonna know any more. I would put Roxas under Sora. I think I think there's more to know about Ventus and Sora, but Roxas I feel like we already know so much about. I would honestly, I know, I'd move him down. I think Roxas is definitely in the same, more of a same category as Terra. I think they're both characters that have an interesting future. No, actually, I'm gonna put Terra over Roxas. These are two characters I'm curious to see where they go from here on out and what Nomura decides to do with them character wise. But as of right now, I think they're pretty like they're okay. You know, I I definitely would have the older me would have put Roxas way lower, but I don't know. There's something about Roxas where I think I don't relate to him, and I think that's the problem is that the ones who relate to Roxas relate to him hard. I'm definitely more relating to an Axel type person. So it's like the same group, the same trio, just I'm on the other side of that trio. Young Xehanort. Young Xehanort is such a very interesting character for him to just he left his home world, went to school where he ended up witnessing all of his classmates die. I just realized, is regular Xehanort even on this list? He's not. It's just young Xehanort. That's weird. Why would they not put young Xehanort on here? The player character also isn't on here either. And then the Dark Road characters aren't on here either as well. You know, honestly, I was like thinking to some extent, I was like, maybe I should make my own tier list because what if there's like a lot of things that are missing on the other tier lists? Because, like, I guess technically Lushu is on here, but like, it would have been somewhat better to have Lushu separated. But I'm assuming that this was probably made at the end of no. Yeah, this was probably made at the end of KH3 because the brain picture they used doesn't even have like Brain's full face on it. This had to be before Union Cross even finished. They still could have put the player character in there. I don't know why they didn't do that. All right, so if we're judging Xehanort off of Xehanort entirely and not just young Xehanort, so going off of what I was saying before, he left his homeworld. He went to school where he saw all of his friends die. He traveled the world and then came to the conclusion that he wanted to be a dictator. He talked to the Master of Masters. He had dreams of people that he thought were his friends but weren't his friends because they were the player character's second life's thoughts. He's a very intricate character. He does everything he does in Birth by Sleep. He actually felt remorse for the way he treated Ventus, and that's why he left him with Ericus, which we found out in Dark Road. His whole goal was that it was a very misguided goal at the end of it. He's probably the one old man that I would not put in the really didn't care about them category. He had motivation. He had reasoning. I wouldn't say I enjoyed him, But I would definitely put him as a pretty good character. But there's not much to know about Xehanort because we pretty much already know everything there is to know about Xehanort at this point. I guess beyond the gap of post Dark Road, pre Birth by Sleep, we don't really know much about, which I would be a little curious to know what he was doing during that time. I will put Xehanort just for the sole fact of like the rest of these characters. I'm interested to know more about them. Xehanort, we pretty much know more than enough. I would put him as a pretty good character and just put him at the end because I'm more curious to know about these characters. Because I feel like I'm thinking ahead in the sense that like future titles are going to flesh these characters out, and I would honestly say that they would be more interesting overall. No, okay, hold on. I can't say that with fucking Dylan right here. I will put. I'll actually put him right here. I think that there's to some aspect. No, I'm gonna put him right there. I don't know with these characters how much you can. I'm gonna put him right there. I feel like Scold is such a blank slate that Scold could go into like any direction. These three, I don't know. Okay, no, actually, I take that back. Kyrie, I feel like there's big things in the works for Kyrie. I am very interested in her future. I think she fits more with these three, and I'm more interested to see where she goes in this new direction with her training under Aqua. Scold, I feel like could be interesting. We'll have to see. I don't know what they're gonna do with these two. I hope they do more with Nominee. I I feel like they dropped the ball with Melody and Memories, but we'll see. Shion, I really don't know what more you could do with Shion, to be honest. But yeah, that's where I place them. Sayax is I'm gonna say it in the pretty good characters category, but definitely jumped up with KH3. But I'm not sure where I would put him. He definitely he's definitely in the same category where I don't know if we're going to get more information on him because we've pretty much got a lot of information on him already. I feel like he falls in the same category as Xehanort. But I would be curious to know. No, actually, I would say he falls more in the category of Terra because they have work in the sense of like there's a lot of stuff in their past that they're trying to move forward with, and definitely Sayax has a lot of stuff that he has to work through for sure with being a part of the organization and how involved he was. I would put him under Roxas. I'm curious to know more. Mm, no, I put him under Scold. Mm, maybe under Xehanort. I don't know because he's a pretty good character. I just don't know what they would do with him. I would hope we see more of him for sure. Overall, his presence has been very like It's been known for sure. I don't know, it's hard because I feel like I'm ranking these on two different scales versus potential future outcomes that may or may not even happen. Because the only one that's certain in this list is Xehanort. Xehanort's pretty much like, we got everything. We don't really have any more to add on beyond like that period between Dark Road and Birth by Sleep. I'm just trying to think of more future possibilities. Because that's really what this category at the end of the day is. It's like, who would I be the most interested to know more about and could potentially see them grow as a character? Like these four, Ventus, Terra, not Terra, Ventus, Sora, Marluxia, and Luke Short. I'm very curious of how these four are gonna tackle future titles and how their roles are gonna play. These three, I want to see how they develop post everything that's happened. These ones are more curious and like there's a very I feel like they're gonna have more of a bigger play, so that's what makes me more curious. These ones I feel like you're gonna have a very minor play, but still gonna be involved. So I put them together. Scold is a wild card. I'm very interested to see what direction they're gonna take her in, but I feel like that fits in the sense of like we don't know where else. Like this could go either way. It could be bad. It could be good. We don't know until we get there. Xehanort is one of those things where overall we know where he's going or where he already went, right? So he can't really go up or down because all the information is there. It's present, it's available. I feel like he is the medium right there where it's like, is the character, if we get more information, gonna top where Xehanort left off? And I feel like these characters will. I feel like these characters can beat out Xehanort. These ones, these four, Sayax, Naminé, Xion, and Zaldin, I I don't know what they could do to really top that. I think Sayax has more of a chance than Naminé or Xion for sure. For sure more than Zaldin. Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. Sayax can stay there. Ephemer. Ephemer. I wouldn't say Ephemer is an enjoyable character. Definitely a pretty good character. I feel like the pretty good character is starting to get a little, a little stacked. But I'm very curious to know what they're going to do with Ephemer. What group would I put him in within the pretty good characters? See, we don't really get a lot of screen time with Ephemer, though. So it's kind of hard. I feel like he'd probably go with Scold. They're probably hand in hand with one another because they're in that weird category of like main characters, but we don't really know much about them. It could go there. It's in a very either way type category. I'm more interested, I would say, in Scold over Ephemer. But yeah, I'd say yeah, those two are pretty hand in hand. Where do I put Aqua? I think Aqua goes in the same category as the rest of the Birth by Sleep trio, honestly. I would say probably hand in hand with Terra, because I'm curious to see where Aqua goes from here. Because we have a lot of information on Aqua between Birth by Sleep, A Fragmentary Passage, and Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't know what other more development we could get from her, but I would be more curious on Aqua development over Roxas development. but I would say Terra development and Kyrie development more so than Roxas and Aqua. And then Vexen, this guy, another old man. Vexen, Vexen was just arrogant in both Cage 2 and Chain of Memories. Did not really care for him. He had a weird pivot in Cage 3 where he decided to be good. And then has become very lackluster. I don't I couldn't honestly say that I have much interest in learning more about Vexen if it gets to the point where we end up finding more about his backstory. Ienzo is definitely more interesting than Vexen. But I would say I would probably put Vexen above these three for Larxene, Ansem the Wise, and Ericus. Because it's like, I don't really care about him, but these three are just awful. I feel like Larxene could change depending on how the whole Elrena situation goes. Because maybe there's a reason that she's that way, but as of right now, honestly, the big reason these two are down here is because of their chain of memory fight. Their chain of memory fight was just so atrocious. Like I will never recover from that as long as I live. But yeah, that is my overall tier list. Would I change anything about this? No, I'd say I'm for sure confident on the favorite characters, the really enjoyable characters, and the pretty good characters. I think I spent enough time on the pretty good characters that I have this pretty solid. These ones 100% would not change. Hmm. Well, maybe I'll move Brain down more. I'd say I enjoy Chirithy and Pence more than I enjoy Brain. The nice but not great. Would I change anything about these guys? No, no. I think that's pretty set. And then the really didn't care about them. Yeah, no, that's that. What I hold on. I Ericus and Ansem the Wise. Which one's worse though? Because Ansem the Wise was racist. I will say he's racist. I will say he's racist till the end of time. Yeah, no, I would put Ansem the Wise as my least favorite character. Okay. I think from there, that should be more than enough. I think maybe I could probably knock out the party members one pretty quickly. Because I don't really have. I don't know. I think maybe I should save this for like a part two. Because I've already been going on for quite some time. Definitely the world one. Like, look at this selection. There's just so much to talk about right here. I feel like even with this small selection of options, I would probably go on for like another hour. And I've already been doing, I think I'm at close to 3 hours at this point. I don't, I definitely don't want to make these too long. I think 3 hours is like a good medium. Granted, there's some of these episodes that are a little bit longer than three for sure. I'm also, well, actually, you know what? I saw Orin is on this, and now I want to do it because Orin is my favorite, is one of my favorite video game characters. Okay, you know what? We're doing this one. This is going to be the last one that we do. So, the party members. This is something I've 100% beyond Orin have not given really any thought on this. I've thought about like the dynamic between the Disney characters and Sora, and I've thought about making a video about that. It's very interesting. Honestly, you know what? This could be its own the opinions I had on that is honestly going to be here because some of these characters do not have as strong of a relationship with Sora as the other ones do. Granted, there are some characters that aren't on here, like Winnie the Pooh, and some characters who have never really like interacted with Sora, like Zach Fair has never met Sora before. But all right, let's. Okay, well, we're gonna go overall. We're gonna go the interactions. I honestly, I'm only gonna go with interactions because I couldn't even tell you anything about combat wise. I don't pay attention that much to them in battle. We're gonna rank this on interactions with Sora. So starting with Aladdin, I think Sora and Aladdin are pretty good homies. I'm gonna put him as A. I don't think he's S tier because I'm thinking of some of the characters that I would put in S tier, and I would not say Aladdin is up there. But I don't know. I might actually move Aladdin to B. Oh no, we'll see. We'll see. We'll progress. As of right now, Aladdin's staying in A. Ariel's for sure in A tier. Would All right, so we got to think about KH1 and KH2, and then on top of that, she became a summon in KH3. And I would honestly say that Ariel and Sora have a pretty good connection with one another. I would say more so than Aladdin. I would put Ariel over Aladdin. Because I feel like Aladdin is sort of like he's there for the most part, but they get along pretty well. Actually, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm gonna move Aladdin to B. I think Ariel and Sora have a much better connection and then Aladdin. I think Aladdin's very like he's not he's not standard. He's definitely stronger than some of these other characters for sure. But I'll put him in B. I'll put Ariel in A, Aladdin in B. Orin, I'm gonna be biased and I'll put him in S because Orin is one of my favorite video game characters. But also the interactions between Sora. Well, for one, Orin looking out for Sora as a guardian does, when he tells Sora to run away from Hades when they first meet each other, and then Orin offering to be a guardian, which is so fitting if you've ever played Final Fantasy X. And then the end of the Olympus Coliseum world where Sora ends up returning the favor and then saving Orin from Hades' control. Like that entire uh and then also Orin teasing Sora for meddling at the very, very end. I think overall, very great interaction. I'm being biased too because again, Orin is my favorite, but I'm putting him in as S. And this is my tier list. I can I can do what I want. Orin is being an S. Even if he was the worst character, he's staying in S. Baymax. I think there's not really that much interaction with Sora and Baymax. They're just kind of there. I think this is why I didn't want to put Aladdin in C because there's at least like something with Aladdin. I don't think there's anything with Baymax. I think Baymax is C. I put Baymax as C. They have that one moment where they fist bump, but that was about it. Like there's not much I can think of with Baymax where I'm just like he was a real homie to Sora. He was just kind of there. Beast. Beast is a strong contender for sure. The only thing that knocks Beast down is some of these scenes in KH2 when he was just so controlled with like anger that he ended up like turning on Sora. Like that moment when they first got into like Beast's castle in KH2 and he's just like he tosses Sora aside. It wasn't even just like acknowledging him. He's just like, yeah, fuck you, and just throws him. I mean, like maybe I get that he wasn't in the best state of mind, but I don't know. I kind of have to mark some points down for that. Where would I put him though? Definitely, I think I would put him in A. He definitely has his moments. I would put him above Ariel. He definitely has his moments, like in Kingdom Hearts 1 for sure. Actually, the more I think about it, I feel like mm, no, yeah, no, I'm gonna leave Beast above Bell, or not Bell, Ariel. I think for the connection that they have is a lot stronger than they do with Ariel. Even if we take into consideration the stuff that happened in KH2, I would still say that the Beast and Sora have a stronger connection, especially when you see the way they talk to one another. Because the Beast and Sora are very just like they clash, but they clash because Sora cares about the Beast, and that shows in the sense that like when the Beast does come to like his senses, that he is very like uh, he's very apologetic, and it's very like respectful in a way where he's just like, okay, like I get that I was being an asshole, and he was, you could tell that he was happy that Sora was there to to help him with like the situation, especially with taking care of Zaldin and getting involved with everything that Zaldin was doing. With Ariel, it's just like he was being very friendly with her and then like helping her with her scenario, but it was very much to a different degree for sure. Buzz Lightyear. Okay, so Buzz is a very interesting a very interesting character for sure, or a very interesting option, because the man did not like Sora. He did not like Sora, and he expressed a lot of stuff in just the one game that he was in. I feel like this falls in the same category as the Beast, where it's like, does Buzz's shortcomings lower him on the totem pole or on the ratings? I mean, Buzz definitely does not have that much of a connection in comparison to like with or Buzz's connection with Sora. It is not comparable to like say Aladdin, but it's definitely, I would say it's more than Baymax. I feel like the resolution at the end of Toy Box definitely paints the whole connection in a different light. I would probably put him as a low B for now. I think they ended up becoming pretty good friends. There definitely was like a lot to get there, but it's more than Baymax. But it's like there's still something there, you know. It's not very like it's fleshed out more than it is with with Baymax. So maybe I might move Baymax down to D, but we'll see the longer we go on this. Hercules instant S tier. I'll even put Hercules over Orin because Hercules is a fucking homie. And it's not even just necessarily with Sora. Like he was super chill with the player character. He was super chill with Ventus. He's just a great guy overall. Especially if we're counting the Sora interactions, like he's just a true homie through and through with KH1, KH2, even in Recoded when it was just Data Hercules. He's still a homie. I think he was the most of a homie in Coded. He really like he's the one, he's the true guy. Hercules is the true guy right there. All right, Jack Skellington. I feel like I don't know. It's such a weird scenario with Jack because Jack seems to just care about Jack things, and Sora's just kind of there, and Sora just sort of tags along. But I don't really think Jack has an opinion either way. I feel like Sora probably thinks he's more of a friend to Jack than Jack probably would say he's a friend to Sora. Jack Skellington. I need to differentiate since there's two Jacks. We're talking about Jack Skellington. I would say Jack Skellington definitely is in a C tier above Baymax. I don't think there's much going on there friendship wise. For all the times that we've seen Jack, I don't think Jack cares as much as like even Buzz. I feel like at the end of Toy Box, Buzz cares more for Sora than Jack probably does. Jack Skellington. Now, Jack Sparrow does not give two shits about Sora. I'm gonna say that right now. Jack Sparrow, not a homie. Jack Sparrow does not give a shit about Sora whatsoever. Would I put him in the D category? Also, I realized how flawed this is because, like I said, Zach has not met Sora, so I don't know. And Cinderella and Snow White have very minimally interacted with Sora. We'll have to figure something out when we get there. I'm looking ahead to see who I would put in the E tier, and honestly, I don't know that I would put any of these other characters in E tier. So I would probably okay. Well, no. So Jack Sparrow, I wouldn't say is E. He's definitely D. He doesn't give a shit about Sora, but he doesn't. He's not a total asshole. Like if we were gonna rank Disney characters, obviously there are other characters who are more of an asshole that I would put in E. But I don't think any of these are gonna be D. I don't think any of these are gonna be E. I think D's the lowest. Jack Sparrow does not give a shit about Sora. He's going in D. Marshmallow is definitely going in C because he didn't give a shit about Sora until the very end when he had to because of the choices they made in Arendelle. I would honestly put him in D, but I think he cares more about Sora than Jack Sparrow does. Marshmallow is just more of an unfortunate circumstance. Mickey. Technically never. I guess he did fight alongside Sora, but only when Sora was unconscious. But this looks like a fragmentary passage, Mickey. So this would probably go on off of his interactions with Aqua. Well, I guess we could still do the Sora aspect. Overall, we'll do no, we'll do this. We'll take into consideration with everybody this person has partnered up with. We'll go from there because technically I already did that with Hercules because Hercules already partnered up with Ventus. Technically not partnered up, but the interactions with them. Because none of these characters have interacted with anybody else beyond Sora. Roxas was in the vicinity of Jack Skellington, but the two of them have never like talked to one another. So Mickey overall, and Mickey definitely has more of a connection with Riku over Sora. I don't think the two of them are really. I don't think they really have that strong of a connection. I would say I would definitely put Sora's connection with Mickey as like a C tier. His connection with Riku is more of a, I would say A tier. Even though they have a pretty strong connection, I don't think that Riku and Mickey are on the same level as like Sora and Hercules. And then Mickey and Aqua. I think they're probably on the same page as Riku. Riku and Mickey. For as short amount of time as Mickey has known Aqua. they did have a lot of interactions, obviously, in A Fragmentary Passage and Birth by Sleep. I would probably put that more as a B tier. What did I say? Sora C. So we got A, B, and C. Mickey with Ventus. I don't know. I think that's probably still another B tier. I think overall, averaging it out to B for sure. I think higher than Aladdin for sure. I wouldn't put Mickey below Ariel though, or above Ariel. I think that's fair. All right, Mike Wazowski. Mike Wazowski. Mike Wazowski. I don't think there's much going on with Mike. I feel like he's in the C category with Jack Skellington. I don't really think that they, at the end of the day, really became that well of friends. Like they didn't really have much interactions beyond like sort of throwing Mike. Um, I would put him over Baymax, but under Jack Skellington. Minnie Mouse, again, not really much to go off of there. So you only get that scene in Cage 2. I think Minnie shows more interest in Sora than Mike does, so I would put Minnie over Mike. Honestly, I'd put Minnie over Jack Skellington as well. Yeah. Mulan. Mulan definitely is more of a homie than most of these guys are. I would put Mulan in A tier. Over Ariel for sure. I honestly I put Mulan over even Beast. Yeah, no, I think Mulan is a pretty good has a pretty good connection with Sora, but I don't know that I would put it in S tier into the level of Hercules and Orin. I'm trying to think if there's any interactions that I'm missing out on, but for the most part, I think Mulan is I think Mulan is like at a very good A. It's like a very substantial connection right there. Peter Pan. So Peter Pan, we got Peter Pan KH1, Chain of Memories, and then he was a summon in KH2. He was a bit of a jerk to Sora in KH1, but he's that's just how he is in general. Uh I don't think that they have that personal of a connection, I would say. So I would put Peter Pan in the B category. I think Peter Pan's probably higher than Aladdin. Mm, well, because then there's Peter Pan also had the connection with the Wayfinder trio. And I think that is a stronger connection than even his with Sora. I would put Peter Pan over Aladdin for sure. Rapunzel. Rapunzel. Where does Rapunzel stack? I don't really think there's much to say with Rapunzel. I think Rapunzel goes in the C category. I feel like it's kind of a very like marshmallow situation where Rapunzel's just kind of there. But Rapunzel definitely interacts more naturally than Marshmallow. But Rapunzel definitely goes in the C tier. I don't know. It's tough between Rapunzel, Jack Skellington, and Mike Wazowski. I think Rapunzel probably has a stronger connection over Jack Skellington. I'll put her there. Riku obviously Riku has to go in S tier. There's no way Riku can't be in S tier. We put Riku. Yeah, no, Riku for sure is to beat out Hercules. There's just no way. There's no way that he doesn't. Simba. Oh, I love Simba. Lion King is one of my favorite Disney movies. Where would I put Simba? Simba's only interaction we've seen was in Cage 2. And I do like the interaction that they had when they first when they reunited with one another. I think Simba is a real homie, especially since on top of him being a summon in Cage 1, he's also a summon in Cage 3. Sora did help him a lot with like a personal situation in the same vein as Mulan, Beast, and Ariel. I would put Simba in A. I think their connection. I would put Simba in like high A. I think the interaction that they had in Cage 2 is definitely a lot stronger when it came to the type of help that Sora offered, and like the connection grew to like in to it had to have grown to like a way larger extent because like Simba helped out a lot when it came to or Sora really helped out a lot when it came to Simba and like dealing with all his stuff, especially with both times he visited. He definitely helped out a lot with Mulan the first time around, but the second time around, I feel like it was very like I don't know. I feel like if there was anybody in this tier that probably had to have bonded the most, it was definitely Sora and Simba, and then obviously Mulan, Beast, and Ariel afterwards. I think Sully goes in the same category as Mike, but who had a better connection between Mike or Sully? I think it's pretty equal. I'll put Sully over Mike because of Yeetus Vanitas. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeetus Vanitas. Tarzan. Okay, so Tarzan was a homie for sure. Tarzan was there for Sora when Sora was lost, and he was like trying to find his friends, and he was trying to be like philosophical with it, and definitely was supportive for sure. I think I think Tarzan goes in A tier under Ariel. I think there was definitely a connection there. Granted, it wasn't like a the strongest one, but definitely higher than I would say these ones in B tier. Tron, Tron is S all the way, hands down. Would I say stronger than Riku or Hercule? Oh my god, Tron is definitely top three for sure. I would say Tron is high, lower than Hercules, higher than. Man, this is tough. Tron was a homie. Tron went above and beyond. I would say Tron and Orin are probably tied for third place. Hmm. I don't know because Orin selflessly helped out Sora when they first met before they even like knew each other's names. But Tron did go out of his way to break them out of the jail cell that they were in. I would say they're tied. Yeah, they're tied for third place. It doesn't matter where they are in this tier list. They're tied for third place. I'm putting that as that. Woody, okay, so Woody definitely had a better relationship with Sora than Buzz did. He was more trusting, more willing to work with Sora. I think him and Sora had a pretty good connection, honestly. Would I put it over Tarzan? I'm feeling Woody's A tier. I'm just trying to figure out where in A tier he is. Honestly, like the fact that Woody instantly was just like, Sora, you're a good person, and instantly just like trusted him and went with him, even though Buzz was like trying to convince him otherwise. I would put Woody as below Simba and above Mulan. I think that's pretty fitting. Would I say Woody was a better friend than Mulan was? Mulan wasn't necessarily a bad friend. It's just that Woody had more. You could tell that Woody had more of a connection instantly right off the bat. And then on top of that, like with all these other characters, went through like a good amount of like trauma and whatnot, and helped him get through it. I would say more so that the connection between Sora and Woody grew more post Toy Box because of everything that happened in Toy Box, versus the connection with Mulan and Sora definitely grew, but I wouldn't say to the same level. To that extent, I would probably move Mulan under Beast. Because if we're looking at Sora interacting with these characters and the events growing their connection, definitely Simba and Woody would be at the higher point. Beast would definitely follow. I think the reason I put Beast lower is because of how much of an asshole he was. Um, but I mean, Sora did help Mulan save her entire country. No, I'm gonna put Mulan over Beast. I think the interaction with what Mulan went ahead with or had to deal with was definitely a bigger, I would say probably drew them more closer. I feel like Beast is still reserved to the point where he's not as close as say Mulan would be, but definitely has like a stronger connection, I would say, because of everything that he had to go through. Ariel and Tarzan, on the other hand, it's more so that like there wasn't trauma bonding, but it was just more. Well, I guess Ariel did have stuff with Triton. Um, but I don't know the connection there. The interaction there would definitely not trump Beasts though. Definitely would trump Tarzan for Ariel. So yeah, I'm pretty content with where A is. All right, now we get into like the tricky territory because these are characters that Sora has not interacted with. So the Birth by Sleep trio for Cinderella, definitely I think Tara had the best interaction with Cinderella, where Cinderella actually kind of taught Tara a lot of stuff and showed and helped Tara grow as a person. I think they had a pretty good connection there. Aqua was pretty good in the sense of like supporting Cinderella. So for sure that connection would have grown there. And then even Ventus with helping Jock, which, in turn helps out Cinderella. So I think the Birth by Sleep trio have a pretty good connection. And I would say Cinderella in turn back with them. I think it's on the same level of Tarzan. But I would put Cinderella over Tarzan for sure. I think Cinderella helped, definitely developed a lot between all three of them, and then the same with helping Tara develop a lot. Snow White, on the other hand, Snow White didn't really interact with Aqua. Very minimally interact with Tara. Mostly interacted with Ventus, but that wasn't even a lot. I would put Snow White in B. I would say Snow White is pretty on par with Aladdin. I would say so, yeah. I'd say like a low B. I'm starting to feel like maybe Buzz should be moved up. I think Buzz should go over Peter Pan, but under Mickey Mouse. Because at the end of the day, he ended up coming around, and definitely that impact grew that connection. But they're definitely, it's not on the same level as like these guys in A tier for sure. I would say though that towards the end of it, Buzz would have a better connection with Sora more than like Peter Pan. I think honestly Aladdin would probably be higher than Peter Pan. Yeah. I think that fits more, fits better. All right, now Stitch. Stitch definitely has his connections with the Wayfinder trio for sure. And then obviously Sora to a lesser extent ended up being a summon in Cage 3 and in Cage 2. Um I think the interactions with Stitch and the Wayfinder trio definitely shaped him and had a pretty strong connection. I would say that's a pretty would say S level? No, I wouldn't say S level. Stitch is definitely an A tier. I would put Stitch probably between Woody and Mulan. Because Stitch definitely grew as a person. It's in the very same ballpark as Buzz and Beast. But Stitch was just more so, I feel like the interaction was more impactful. No, I would put Stitch over Woody. No, maybe even over Simba. Because like their interactions greatly impacted Stitch. And Stitch doesn't really have much interaction with Sora. But Stitch does show his like loyalty to Ventus when he helped in Kingdom Hearts 2, which I assume is the thing is that he went to Sora because he could feel Ventus within Sora, and then that's how they connected. And then when the war broke out, Stitch was like, "I'm gonna help fight because Ventus." That's my headcanon at least. I think yes, Stitch is a high A. I feel like the events are definitely more impactful, and it shows because it definitely changes his character arc. He was the Wayfinder trio were like the stand-in Lilo since Lilo was not um in the Lilo and Stitch world. Then we got young Hercules, which honestly would say I already kind of talked about Hercules, so I would say this is a very similar situation to the whole like the final mix, non-final mix versions. I'm grouping them all together. It's kind of like how what the other one did with Xehanort, where they only just did young Xehanort and that old Xehanort. Hercules, I'm putting him as that one. Zack. Okay. So Zack obviously has only interacted with the Wayfinder trio. And I would say Zack had more of a connection with Terra than I would say Terra had a connection with him. Zack and Ventus had a pretty good connection. I feel like I feel like Zack probably had more of a connection with Aqua than Aqua did with him. Overall, I would probably put that as a B tier interaction, honestly. I I would honestly probably say it's higher than Mickey because the biggest thing with Mickey's interaction is with Riku, which is a pretty no, the chain of memories Riku is still pretty solid. Like that's some pretty good connection right there. I would say that the Ventus, if we're going off like Ventus Zach reaction or connection carrying this the most, definitely would say Underbuzz for sure. The development is more there than I would say with either Aladdin or Peter Pan. It definitely stronger than Snow White. Yeah, no, I'm pretty confident with that. Okay. Would I move anybody around? I'm pretty confident on the D tier. C tier is pretty good. I don't think I would move anybody in that. I moved people around in B already, so I'm pretty set on that. Yeah, A tier is pretty solid. Yeah, I agree with that. S tier, we already said Orin and Tron are tied for third place, and I can live with that. But yeah, no, that is my definitive party members connection to Sora slash Wayfinder trio tier list. And yeah, was it just Wayfinder? Yeah, it was just Sora and the Wayfinders. Did I take it anywhere else? I guess I mentioned the player character with Hercules, but was there anyone else, or was it just that Riku with Mickey? I forgot about that one. And then I slightly mentioned Roxas, but it doesn't really count with Jack Skellington. Yeah, no, that's pretty spot on. I'm confident with that. On that note, I'm sure this has gone on for probably no, I don't think it's 4 hours. It's probably closer to like 3.5 hours, which I think is a pretty good spot to stop. The world one is no way a short one. There's so much to talk about. Even if I don't have, if I have very minimal to talk about most of these worlds, that is going to take me a good hour, hour and a half, which I think doing four at the moment is pretty good. This could probably be its own podcast episode. Honestly, probably could get a few people together and then work on this and then have that be the next podcast episode, which could be a pretty fun idea, honestly. And then maybe we throw in some other ones as well. But yeah, on that note, thank you for watching. Uh, this is normally where the other person plugs, but I guess I'm plugging my own stuff because it's just me. So description has all the links to everything that you can check me out on other platforms. So feel free to take a gander on that. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. So if you haven't followed me on there, go ahead and follow me on there. And yeah, so that is the end of this podcast episode. It feels weird ending this without somebody else here, but you know, Orin is the best, hands down, no questions asked. This is how I'm going to end this episode.